The Maricopa County Recorder's Office manages public records and governmental information, but is best known for maintaining voter registration records and administering early voting, including the verification of voter signatures on early ballots and petitions. Earlier today, we spoke with the Democratic candidate for County Recorder, Tim Stringham. Now, we invited Republican candidate Justin Heap to participate in a debate, but we did not receive a response. And so we hear from Democrat Tim Stringham. Tim Stringham, welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here. Let's get this thing started here. What qualifies you to be the county recorder?
First, thanks for having me. It's really a pleasure to come out here tonight and for your interest in the race. The county recorder's office is a pretty big job. It's 140 plus full-time personnel, thousands of part-time personnel or temporary workers for the elections. And I think it's important to hire somebody who has actual leadership and executive experience. I've spent 15 years in the Army and Navy as an officer, leading soldiers and sailors on 4 different continents. I've managed large projects. I've managed large groups of people. I've been a liaison with other government agencies, but also with foreign governments. And I think for somebody to actually run the day-to-day of our government, which includes not only the elections, but a lot of relatively mundane tasks like the recording of deeds and plats, it's important to have somebody that has a diversity of experience, but that leadership experience so they can lead those people on a day-to-day basis.
But no experience in elective office. Why should voters not be concerned about that?
Yeah, I think it's a different job than other jobs in politics. I think, for instance, that I might not be the best fit for a legislative office. I like policy. I like leading people. I like working with people on a day-to-day basis. And at the end of the day, we actually have very, very strict requirements for our elections. We have federal law, we have state law, we have the elections manual, we have human resources policies. And so what you're doing is you're hiring somebody who can lead that office on a day-to-day basis and who informs policy, but not who creates it.
Does confidence in the office at this point, right now, does it need to be restored? Confidence need to be restored?
Well, this is what I would point out to people. Right, I'm running against Justin Heap, who says that he's running to replace someone because of their lies and half-truths. I'd love to hear what lies and half-truths he means, but right now we have a former president running for re-election who lied in 2021 about the current county recorder when he said that the voter rolls were deleted. That was not the case. We also have a current Senate candidate who lied and has admitted that she lied in court when she said that the current county recorder rigged the 22 election. And so if we're talking about restoring confidence in the office, I would like to know with specificity what the office can do to restore that faith. And I want to listen with an open mind, but I also think that Donald Trump and Kari Lake need to address their own lies and half-truths. I want to know what they're going to do to restore faith in themselves. And I would ask Justin Heap, if you have a complaint about the office, be very clear. Are you referring to these lies told by Donald Trump and Kari Lake, or is there something else that you'd like us to address?
He says, and he said on this program when I interviewed him, that the last election cycle in Maricopa County was the worst run in the United States, and it made us a laughingstock in the country. How do you respond to that?
Oh, I think Kari Lake made us a laughingstock, and Kari Lake is making a laughingstock of herself. And I think that if you're going to be a politician and talk about integrity, you need to be very careful about accepting the endorsement of Kari Lake. Now, here are the facts. We did have a printer issue. That printer issue, by the way, was not even under the purview of the county recorder's office. It was under the purview of the county board of supervisors. Nonetheless, I think the point is clear. We can always do things to improve our election processes, but having a printer error doesn't mean we were a laughingstock of the country.
But can we always do something to improve the trust that voters have in the election system? Because, again, your opponent says there was I think his words on this program, a monumental collapse in that trust. Has he got a point?
I think if you're looking for a world where everyone has trust in the elections, which is the goal, absolutely. We need to start working that trust back. And we need to understand that printer errors happen, but they're going to chip away at trust. And so we need to try and up our game every single day and do better. And we need to understand that while there are some conspiracy theorists out there, there are a lot of people that have thoughtful, heartfelt concerns. We want to make sure that the voter rolls are maintained, for instance. We do want to make sure that the right people, citizens, are able to vote, non-citizens are not. And I think we can take those concerns seriously without devolving into conspiracies.
You mentioned voter rolls, and your opponent says that, and said here again, that the voter rolls were not being cleaned and they were not being maintained by the current office holder. Again, does he have a point?
No, I think he's completely wrong, and I'd like to turn it around again. In 2021, Donald Trump said that the voter rolls were deleted to destroy evidence. That was patently false. And I want to know, is it the position of MAGA Republicans that the rolls were not cleaned or that they were entirely deleted? I think these conspiracy theories need to at least be internally consistent. The fact is, since Stephen Richer was elected, we have had a net loss of 200,000 voters. What that means is that even as Maricopa County has grown and more citizens are moving into the county, we have nonetheless net lost 200,000 voters who were scrubbed off of those rolls. That absolutely goes to show you the people in the office are working very hard to maintain the rolls. They're taking those concerns seriously. And if I'm elected, not only we will continue to do that, but absolutely we'll go a step further, and every day we'll figure out if there are more efficient ways of doing so. The idea that nobody is scrubbing the rolls absolutely flies in the face of the data.
Also, the idea of too many extra ballots. Your opponent has mentioned that he goes to speaking engagements and he says, raise your hand if someone here has received an extra ballot. And he said you'd be amazed at how many people raise their hand. They've received extra ballots. Are they receiving extra ballots through the mail? And is that something to be concerned about?
My wife and I have always voted by mail. As an active duty service member, I've only had the ability to vote in person one time. I have voted from Afghanistan, from Korea, from London, and from Hawaii. One of the great features of Maricopa County is that if you're concerned about too many ballots, you can go to beballotready.vote. You can take charge of your own voter registration. You can make sure that you are tracking your ballot from printing to mailing to when it's received to when it's tabulated. Beballotready.vote. And I would encourage you, go look around the country and let's ask ourselves if other jurisdictions have similar programs. Not only is Maricopa County doing very well at elections, but I think we're actually leading on that front. I'm actually excited to go into a department that I think should be very proud of the work that it's been doing.
Do you believe election laws were followed as far back as 2020, which again your opponent says they weren't followed in 2020? I can't quite get him on to say whether or not Donald Trump was rigged out of the election, and he doesn't seem to want to respond to that, but he did say election laws weren't followed. Do you know of election laws that were not followed in 2020?
I have never heard of a particular complaint from Justin Heap. I'm not sure what he's speaking to. I have heard individual complaints from people who maybe didn't have the best experience at a particular poll, and we always want to upgrade that customer service. I have never heard of a documented instance of anyone in the election department telling a lie. And again, Kari Lake is now in court admitted to lying about the elections. I'd like to know why Justin Heap thinks it is acceptable to accept that endorsement from someone who is on the record in court having lied about the election, and then to have the gall to make accusations about dedicated public servants who've done a great job amidst a lot of stress.
Bottom line, elections in Maricopa County, are they inherently secure?
I would never say inherently secure. I think that if you talk to people in that department, we every single day have people from other state agencies and national agencies that always want to understand what is the next threat. I think that our elections in the past have absolutely been secure. That doesn't mean that we can sleep on future threats.
Personal question here. Why are you running for this office, considering the current office holder has gone through a whole heck of a lot in terms of being attacked left, right, and center? You up for this? You ready for this?
You know, sometimes I ask myself that same question, but it comes down to this. When I was 20 years old, remembering the lessons of 9/11. Today's 9/11, and it's a day that set my life on a course for public service. When I was 20, I swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. That includes defending your right to vote, even if you disagree with me. And I am someone who went 10,000 miles to Afghanistan to protect democracy. I'm not willing to let it suffer here.
Last question. If Stephen Richer had won the primary, the Republican primary, would you be on the stage right now?
Absolutely not. I imagine Stephen Richer and I would have sat down for a coffee, probably taken a photograph, and I think the world would have quickly forgotten about my venture into politics.
Tim Stringham, Maricopa County Recorder candidate, Democratic Party. Good conversation. Good to have you here. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate your time.